Welcome to Cisco Tech Beat, the podcast that explores the people and stories behind what inspires the newest innovation. I'm your host, AB, and I'm thrilled to welcome my next guest, Fletcher Previn, Cisco's Chief Information Officer. Fletcher and his team simplify and transform processes to empower Cisco employees worldwide, while establishing secure global IT systems and infrastructure at scale. Fletcher, welcome to Tech Beat.
Thanks so much for having me. Pleasure to be here.
So glad to have you. And I want to talk about your role and sort of your journey, because you have an interesting career path. You started as a systems engineer and worked all the way up to CIO, first at IBM and now at Cisco. So what were some of the key experiences you had that led you on this journey? And how do you approach your leadership when you think of your role as a CIO?
Yeah, well, there was actually a period of time where I thought I might go into entertainment. That's more kind of the family business.
Right.
And I worked as an intern at the David Letterman show, the Conan O'Brien show. I was on a lot of movie sets. But I always had this parallel thread, really loving tech. And when I was in college, I really kind of came to terms with, I should stop fighting this. What I really love doing is working in tech and being around other people who are in tech. Before I graduated, I went out to Silicon Valley and started applying to jobs. And then when I graduated, moved out there. And got a job at Walmart.com. You know, when I got my first round of Microsoft MCSE certifications, that really opened up kind of the aperture for me of like, this is the missing manual for IT.
Right.
And learning networking fundamentals and then becoming a Microsoft systems engineer and then an engineering manager and then getting into networking and really understanding how all this stuff interconnects. That was kind of it just really grabbed me.
Right.
And it's endlessly interesting. It's always changing. It's always different. I had a friend once say working in tech is like being a brain surgeon. If they invented a new brain every 18 months. And then I think later on when I was at IBM, I had an opportunity to be the chief of staff to the CIO at the time.
Got it.
And that was a really great experience because I got to really see in the room how a large IT organization is run, what's going well, maybe what I would do differently.
Right.
And so that was definitely a kind of pivotal moment as well. And then I got the opportunity to be the CIO of IBM and put into action some of those things. And now at Cisco, where I've been for 3 years.
I love that. What a journey. I love it. So we're talking IT, obviously, and we know that it can play a pivotal role in an organization's culture. So how do we use IT tools to foster creativity and learning and development, in an employee's growth, really?
Yeah, I think, IT plays an outsized role in answering the question, what is it like to be part of this organization? The shortest distance to engaging people is what's in their hand or what's on their desk. And so how well IT is delivering those services to people is not trivial. It's really actually core to creating a high-performance culture where talented people want to be. And at the end of the day, your culture is really the only unique thing that you have.
Right.
People can steal your technology. That's just kind of what happens over time. But it's pretty hard to steal somebody's culture. And so I really think of IT as, defining what the work environment is going to feel like, and setting the standard for what best looks like for the whole organization. Totally.
I want to talk to you about the customer experience, and something that I know you've referred to yourself as is customer zero. Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to ask you, what does that mean when you say you're customer zero?
Well, there's been customer zero, and then there's been customer zero at a IT company of which you are the IT department. And,
right.
There must be a term for what comes before customer zero.
Okay.
But I don't know what it is.
But,
so Cisco is the company that invents what happens next in infrastructure.
Sure.
And so we get to be the proving ground for seeing, making sure that product is going to work for other large enterprises. And that means that sometimes there's no one else to call. There's
right.
no support line to check. There's no other documentation to read how other people did it. You're doing it for the first time, which is the part that's exciting.
Right.
And also sometimes challenging, but mostly exciting. And we get to be in a unique position of saying, well, we're the IT department of Cisco, so it's not actually my goal to just be competitive in the market. Our people should be showing people things they've never seen before.
Absolutely. So I want to talk about AI, which seems to be the topic of choice, of course, still. And, Cisco is obviously leveraging AI, and we even use it internally in how we create products and systems. I'm looking at things like Bridget or Bridge IT, and which is sort of our chat version, and also AI clusters. So when you think about AI and just what we're doing at Cisco, what excites you or the most about what's to come?
Well, I think what's really exciting about the state of AI today is that we have spent the last 100 years learning how to talk to machines, learning how to program in C++, Python, Java, whatever. And now, finally, machines have learned how to talk to us. And so if the next great programming language is maybe English, that has some profound impacts on how we interact with machines and what they can do for us. And we can communicate intent instead of being the interpreter of the outcome we want and trying to break it down into discrete tasks for a machine to complete.
Right.
You can actually just ask a digital twin of yourself to do some of the things that are not really core to your job. And all of us will spend about 70% of our time doing administrative tasks or sitting in meetings, and that is not necessarily what we want to be doing.
That's right.
So there's just a huge opportunity space there to make work better for people, and for AI to be a force multiplier for human potential. And so we are really looking at AI as a teammate, not a team replacement.
Right.
And on the infrastructure side, there again, the customer zero concept. So we are building out AI infrastructure fabric for use across the company to make ourselves more productive, for our engineering product teams to leverage in the products that they build, and to make it easier for customers and partners to do business with Cisco. So the Cisco IT team has already built out almost 1,000 GPU-based cluster using Cisco Ethernet fabric, Cisco Compute, Cisco Storage, Cisco software, and we will continue to build more of that this year and really be the centralized AI fabric for the whole company to use.
And I love your perspective. It's not, something that's replacing anything. It's really a tool that's used to augment and to help. And that's, I think, across Cisco, we're seeing that people are really embracing AI as a positive thing and not the scary side of it.
Yeah, I mean, no matter how much money somebody has, we all have the same amount of time.
That's right.
And none of us have enough of it. And so here comes AI as this huge opportunity to free us up from doing things that are not necessarily high value or human on human tasks, and let us focus on the things that when we went to bed at night as a child saying, this is what I want to do when I grow up.
That's right.
And not be bogged down by some of the other things.
Love it. So we were just talking about AI, but I want to expand more into technology in general because it's rapidly growing. It's becoming, more advanced at a quicker rate. So how do you see technology transforming the workplace and the landscape? And what skills are people going to need to be able to keep pace with that?
Yeah, I think the thing that's really interesting about this particular wave of technology that's maybe different from some of the other ones, if you compare it to something like cloud or some of the other huge technology shifts, is the speed at which it's occurring. Because historically, you would have a iteration cycle that begins with you working on something, testing it, putting it out there to the world, collecting feedback, iterating on it, and then sort of repeating that cycle as point releases of something. And that might take months or even years. AI has the ability to self-optimize itself instantaneously in an almost infinite loop. So you have this kind of hockey stick curve of innovation that is occurring.
Right.
And it feels like we're living in this really modern, futuristic moment. But in a really short amount of time, we will look back on this and realize we were in the early prehistoric days of AI.
Right.
18 months from now, who knows what things are going to be like. So it's hard to answer the question, what's going to change in the next 3 years or 5 years or 10 years? And those predictions tend to be wrong anyway. But an equally useful question is, what is not going to change in the next few years? Because you can build a plan around those things. And so we know we're going to continue to care about a great employee experience. We know our values are not going to change. We know we're going to want to build high quality products. We know we're going to want to have an environment where talented people want to work. Specifically to the IT department, how are we preparing for that shift that's occurring? We will probably need fewer software developers over time, or at a minimum, a software developer will be able to do a lot more software development. And we will start to need things like prompt engineers, flow engineers, business process engineers, people that really understand the complexity of your business and how things work end to end. The integrators of your business processes, I think those things will be on the upswing. But it is going to have a pretty profound shift on what the IT organization of the AI operated enterprise looks like.
Yeah, I can imagine. I don't even know what things are going to look like in 3 years. I mean, my clone might be doing this show for all we know. we kind of talked a little bit about your loving the arts in the beginning of our discussion. And I want to talk to you about artistic backgrounds and creativity, because I imagine that, and I know it does for me, but I want to talk about how creativity might influence you in your role as CIO. Do you see that being a positive contributor? What does that look like?
I like to think it is. I mean, I think IT done well is a highly creative endeavor. And it's a very servant function, right? We exist in order to enable everyone else in the organization to do the best work of their lives.
Absolutely.
And so, really sort of taking seriously these experiences that touch all employees and looking at it through the lens of, it's just not okay to have this great experience in your personal life and this bad experience at work. Just because it's enterprise doesn't mean it's okay to be bad.
Yeah.
And I think if you're curious and creative, IT is a wonderful profession to go into because you can never know everything. It's constantly changing. And so I have found it an incredibly rewarding career to be in, and one that actually requires a high degree of creativity to, I hope, do well.
Yeah, absolutely. And some of my colleagues who are also on the creative team, we say the same thing. Tech in general is there's never a lack for a subject to explore. There's always something changing, and if you're a creative, you can find really interesting ways to tell these stories. There are so many stories to tell.
Yeah, and I think people take for granted that things just advance.
Yeah.
A year from now, things will be smaller and faster and better, but the amount of artistry and craftsmanship that goes into creating a product or building something or solving some of these very difficult engineering problems is actually very creative and very difficult. And people are working really hard all the time at solving these problems. And so I think it's a great space to be in. And more than ever, a really sort of core part of what the future is going to be like, what the society we're going to live in is going to be like. And we get to be, part of driving that bus, if you will, of helping co-create that future and make some decisions as the designers of the future of work. What kind of world and what kind of society do we want to have?
I mean, if that's not exciting to you, then I don't know what would be. So that's great. Let's stay on the creativity thing a little bit, but really dive into passion a bit, because you're clearly very passionate about the work you do and being an IT leader. So what are some of the key values or core beliefs you have in your role as CIO that you think are worth mentioning?
Yeah, I'm looking to work with people who are kind, passionate about what they do for a living, and believe in our purpose and our mission. And if we surround ourselves with those kinds of teammates, we'll be successful in whatever problem of the day we're solving.
Perfect. Well, I think on that note, we can bookend this conversation. I just want to thank Fletcher for joining me on this episode of Tech Beat. Fletcher, thank you for taking the time. So glad we got to do this in person at Cisco Live Amsterdam 2025. And I look forward to speaking with you again in person.
Me too. Thanks so much for having me.
You got it.